Okay.
The dubbing prequels.
Hey, we started the stream, motherfuckers.
Language.
Language.
That's Captain America. So we're gonna start with one-on-one, and then we're gonna discuss it together. Varric, what do you expect from Batman v Superman?
Not a lot. It's another Zack
I'm
Snyder.
actually pleasantly, I'm
Well,
pleasantly
Androdol,
optimistic.
I thought we were going to cover my topic first and then get to the Batman vs Superman thing. That way we can get it out of the way.
Okay? Well, if you wanna.
That's kind of the whole reason why I wanted to do a stream right now.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
All right, hold on.
Okay, so the subject, and the reason why I wanted to do this is because doing it through text is not always the best, especially on Twitter DMs. So, and I'm aware people in here aren't probably familiar with the op that I'm trying to get going. So I'll just explain it. Is anyone else familiar with the Not Your Shield videos that were created a while back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it had, like the multiple, women and men who might have been gay, bisexual, whatnot, that are going, I support Gamergate, etc.
Yes.
Basically, if you imagine the format where they had each individual person on screen for maybe a minute each, giving their stance on things and their reason for their stance, that's kind of how I want Op Flash Flood to go, except it's in reference to Fire Emblem and Street Fighter V. And it's mainly we're going to have people come on the screen, and because this is going, at least hopefully going to be going over to Japan and translated into Japanese, we would be having people reading off lines in Japanese as well. And it doesn't matter if you can't pronounce it well, because we're going to have it written in Romaji, so that way you can at least somewhat pronounce it, and then we're also going to have what you said into subtitles, so that way there's no misunderstanding what you actually said, just in case. And, basically you come on and be like, well, let's just say someone comes on and states their real name, because, there's no restrictions. You can state your real name, you don't have to. You can show your face if you want to, you don't have to. And you can say, my name's Archon. I don't support you selling me second-rate products, etc. And then give my reasons, etc. Kind of like the Not Your Shield videos. And then it moves on to the next person after about a minute or so, or when they're done giving their explanation. And then at the end, once we've gone through the list of people that have sent in recordings, it would be, I don't know what the specific word is for the pictures, but those images you see, like, they make images of, like, Abraham Lincoln out of, like, thousands of other pictures of random people on the street and stuff like that. Imagine it kind of like that, but we have, stills, or not even stills, just, little videos in squares in the backdrop, and so that way everyone is on screen at once, and basically saying the same line to kind of drive the point home. I don't support giving or selling second-rate products to your customers, or whatever lines we decide to go with, depending on what might be easier to translate. And then after that, basically we would just have a couple paragraphs on screen as subtitles / text to explain in depth what the problem is. And then hopefully, if we're able to translate all of this correctly and efficiently, we can send this over to Capcom. And each version we'll just send over to Nintendo of America and Treehouse. And that's basically the gist.
Well, I hope they would be willing to listen to that stuff.
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, the only requirements Japan has, or Nintendo Japan has, is that any inquiries or complaints have to be in Japanese, which is one of the reasons why I wanted it to be in Japanese.
Well, whoever's doing the Japanese translating, are they gonna translate it or are they gonna localize it? Ha ha ha! Funny joke.
Google
What
Translate?
the fuck?
Oh dear God.
Oh my god.
Fuck.
Well, you
Right.
know, there are going to be some things that don't. I know this is going to be kind of unpopular, but there are some things that aren't going to be exactly translatable. Like a lot of it has to do with
Right.
cultural. Some cultural differences are going to need a little bit of localization, just like small
Right.
things, kind of like anecdotes that don't translate well.
Right, like puns and stuff like that, and play on words. Because, you know, what rhymes in Japanese and English don't always rhyme in the opposite language.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know
you
if
can
you've
just.
ever tried to listen to any J-pop translated. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But you can just put the 3 dots, the ellipses, at the
Yeah.
bottom of the screen. Whenever it gets to
Yes,
the
I
point you
mean, you
don't know.
could make an entire conversation right like that, right?
Exactly.
Just like
Genius.
14 panels of dot 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 dot.
It like reminds me of that goddamn comic where they have that one red, like it was the X-Men comic or whatever, where that woman was telling that guy he was gay, and it was just like 4 or 5 recycled panels of her hand gestures.
Oh,
You remember
God.
that? That's what it reminds me of. Because it's like
when when they were trying to tell Iceman he's gay.
Bobby, you're gay. What's going on? You're gay.
Wait,
Yeah,
Iceman
you've
is
never
gay?
been gay before. We're just gonna shoehorn it in.
Yeah. I also love how she's able to tell him he's gay when he doesn't even realize it. Like, yeah, sure. Sure.
Are you gonna have a pinned tweet on your Twitter handle or on KIA or something like that?
Me?
Yeah, for the op or whatever you want to call this.
I'll probably just link to this video and then pin that tweet
Okay.
because it saves trouble. It saves the problem, you know?
Yeah, I got a question. Is Iceman gay?
Is what?
Up until recently, no, he has never canonically been gay.
But
He's
they
always been a bit of a
recently made him
player.
gay.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
like
but they-
like Thor?
They decided
Like
to have
Thor
a
is a
psychic-
woman? Is it like that?
She's basically a telepath. So she says she's basically making the argument that she went into his mind and looked at what's going on and said he's gay.
Okay, but it's a rewritten shit like Thor has become a woman.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
Kind of like the whole shitstorm that's been going on with comics for the past 2 years.
Okay.
3, my bad, 3 years.
That's depressing,
since
but
since after Disney took over Marvel, things started to happen.
There were small changes beforehand, like you would have little things here and there, which eventually just led up to big changes.
Mm.
I don't read comics or anything, so that's why I'm asking. I'm just watching the movies, the big titles, and that's all I get from.
Heretic.
Just read Invincible from Image Comics. That's solid. That's very good. And it avoids all this
Yeah, read
bullshit that
Invincible.
keeps getting hooked in.
All right. Is there anything you want to go ahead and tell more about this, or
I think
today?
I covered it. Unless there's anyone in the chat, because I said that you know, if there wasn't room in the call, people could ask in chat or something like that, or leave comments on the video.
Yeah. If they have a,
Move on. Let's just double check that to see if there's any questions regarding it, and then move on.
I'm asking.
Nothing. Okay.
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. Yep, that's fine.
Well, we'll
I'm
keep
not
going
seeing
and just pick up questions if they get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people are commenting on this video afterwards, I'll be sure to send them your way, Archon.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyways, on to Batman vs Superman Navi.
Yeah. Well, Varric, you kind of started off, but you got interrupted. Go ahead and say your piece.
If you could give somebody else the floor for a moment, I just need to handle something real quick.
Okay, Kermit, go ahead.
I
Go
think
ahead.
it's gonna be meh.
Meh. Why?
Meh. Because, okay, it's gonna be pretty. Yes, because it's Zack Snyder, it's gonna be fucking gorgeous.
Oh, so
Um,
pretty.
it's gonna be dark. There's gonna be a color palette of like 4 colors. Supposedly, from rumblings inside Fox and Co. and stuff, they're not too sure about it because supposedly the script is deeper than they were expecting for like basically Batman fights Superman sort of thing. Um, I'm sure it'll be decent. I just don't think it'll be anything spectacular. I think it'll be the same as it was with Man of Steel. That was okay. It wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't anything super, and I think they've sort of
Funny
gone for
pun.
this because they've picked Zack Snyder. They've gone for this like stupidly dark sort of look. Whereas like all the Marvel movies, they've been fairly light-hearted, and I mean the probably the most dark ones have been what
Age of Ultron.
Captain America, Age of Ultron, and the Captain America ones. Captain America ones are much more.
With the soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is excellent. Um, and I think Marvel has a lot more room to maneuver in terms of the tone of their films. Like, because like Deadpool is just completely wacky bonkers.
Well,
Avengers
Oh,
and
a
stuff.
distinction that I would like to make: Deadpool is being handled by Fox,
Very
yeah.
true,
not
but it's
the
also
Marvel movie studios.
that's very true. But what I'm saying is like in terms of the way they've framed the universe is that the individual character movies they've got like it's fine if uh, Captain America movie is more serious. It's not a problem because there are other still more light-hearted movies. But because this Man of Steel, and Batman vs Superman have been like so super edgy, angsty, really dark looking. There's not really any room for them to maneuver if that turns out to fuck up. So they can't make it lighter because people will just be like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. And also, they seem to be shoehorning in quite a few characters into this as well. I mean, Wonder Woman's going to be there, and Aquaman's going to be there, and I don't know if he's going to be in it or not, but there might be Cyborg as like a cameo or something.
Yeah, Cyborg is supposed to be in there.
Yeah, so that's not going to really introduce them. Marvel had their shit together years ago, though, to be honest, when they started doing individual character films and then building it up. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be anything special, personally. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it's not. If it is really good, Jesse Eisenberg's an interesting choice for Lex Luthor from what we've seen in the trailers. We'll see.
All
Personally.
right. All
And
right.
like I was saying, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, go ahead, Varric. You were kind of first. So.
As I was saying before, Archon needed to get his point out. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. There's a lot that could go right, and to be honest, if you want an idea of what the fight's going to be like, watch the film. It's an animated feature called Justice League War.
What? Justice League 4? What did you say?
Justice League War. And
Okay.
what happens? Yeah, the fight in that between Batman and Superman is probably going to be a good idea of how they will handle it cinematically. And as far as Snyder goes, Snyder has commented that he did want to take a lighter tone, but the studio, the DC itself, has felt that the tone of the films should be carried in a serious manner, as they did with the Batman films and how they handled Superman. So they're stuck, so to speak, in this rut of that's how they have to present these movies now. They can have little moments of humor, but the overall tone of the film can't be lighthearted.
I mean, but they're also differentiating themselves from Marvel as well. If they did exactly the same thing, it wouldn't really be that interesting.
It depends. Execution is always an issue. I'm sure they could make it similar to how some other superhero films have been made in order to capitalize on that. But, most recently, Deadpool kind of blew everybody's expectations out of the water because they were looking at, oh, it's an R-rated superhero movie. And they're like, holy shit, it's a good R-rated superhero movie. And that's actually one of the things that I saw today that surprised me is that Batman vs. Superman was announced with a director's cut, which is when it comes to the home market, that's going to have an R rating on the feature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the movie theaters, it's going to go with the planned PG-13, but I'm just wondering, like, what the hell are they going to add to it to make it R?
Swearing
Well,
and
Lots
Wonder
and
Woman
lots of
naked.
sex.
Nobby.
No way. Batman, you've been kind of quiet on this. We kind of talked about this after stream yesterday. What are your thoughts?
Zack Snyder has yet to impress me with the movie ever since 300 came out. I guess most of
I'm
my
gonna
opinions
guess you
on this
weren't a
movie
fan
are-
of Sucker Punch?
No, I didn't. No, that. I was actually more expecting that to kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like push, like just kind of like woo me over. But then the whole fucking dream sequences and shit, I don't know. But I guess I'm kind of prejudging the new Batman movie over Man of Steel because I did not like that movie. I just felt like it was corny, cheesy. There was like cheesy ad placements throughout. Honestly, Zack Snyder, I think, should go back to his Dawn of the Dead days, just making like some. Honestly, I think he's actually pretty great with horror movies in general, even with just like horror, like with Watchmen and 300 style. But with Superman, and the new Batman movie, I think it's. I kind of fear that it's going down the Marvel approach, where we're just gonna see like pumped out DC movies like every few months and shit. I'm just not really looking forward to it.
Well, if the quality is persistent, then what's the issue with the schedule on how fast they're going to come out?
Burnout, I assume. People are going to be burnt out, and Marvel hit it early, and DC are going to be catching up, and by the time DC start putting them out regularly, people might be burnt out of superhero films.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of like quality over quantity because
Well-
how Marvel is doing right now is it's just a cash grab. They're just quickly pumping them out, putting all kinds of cheesy Hollywood animation in there, not really caring about too much about the dialogue and the story, and it's just mostly appealing to comic book fans, not really like moviegoers in general.
Well, then how the hell do you explain Deadpool?
Yeah, I was
I haven't
about
seen
to
Deadpool
say.
yet.
Oh, Deadpool is phenomenal. Deadpool is so good.
Was it as good as
I'm,
Blade?
I'm gonna quote like.
Not even in Boyd's category.
I'm gonna quote like John. I don't know if you know who John Campea is, but if the other superhero movies are good, people are gonna watch other superhero movies. But if there are many superhero movies that are shit, there are less people going to go see them. So with Deadpool out, and we've seen Marvel has been doing good, and even Man of Steel, it's kind of either you like it or don't like it with Man of Steel. Except for Fantastic Four, the last few years with superhero movies have been pretty good.
Yeah, they got
Yeah,
Fantastic
that
Four.
Fantastic Four was nothing short of atrocious. We got,
But I mean, the Winter Soldier, the Captain America movies have always been quite good. So
I'm kind of
far.
on board with Steven Spielberg right now. I think superhero movies are beginning to see their downfall. It's probably
Yeah.
I do see a bubble bursting pretty soon. It's getting a little bit out of hand.
so what do you think? That Deadpool was going to be the apex?
If they start coming out with more balls to the walls movie, because the last, I think, see why I said like if Deadpool was just as good as Blade movie, as the movie Blade. Blade was rated R. If you guys haven't seen that, and I thought that was actually just even a badass movie. Wasn't even thinking that was a comic.
Well,
book movie at all.
that was another thing that cracked me up today. Everybody's like, Deadpool is the first superhero movie that's been rated R. I was like,
Yeah, it's horse shit.
what about Dread? What about Blade? What about
Watchman.
Watchmen? You
What
know,
about your
it's,
brother? Oh,
And even the Punisher was a little
sure, there's a
bad.
lot more that I'm missing. Yeah,
I mean, if
Punisher
they want
was
to,
rated R, wasn't it?
they need to
Well,
kind of. How I feel is they need to kind of go on to like the whole how like the same quality as like the Batman movies were and how Blade was. If you kind of make it into a movie where you kind of forget that you're in a comic book movie, maybe I'll get back into it.
well, I think it's pretty obvious, like with the Deadpool movie, like with R-rated superhero movies in general, there's a lack of confidence. But I think with Deadpool, it shows that the people working towards actually getting it made really knew their source material and really cared like a lot. And I mean, Ryan Reynolds had been working for years to get it done. Where the thing now is, if they go, oh look, R-rated superhero movies done well, here we'll just hire these random script writers and we'll do another one and we'll make it R-rated. That's different from Deadpool, where you had a big group of people who wanted to make it for years, who cared a lot about the source material.
True as well. I've not been let my brother speak. Hello, what do you think of the upcoming Batman v Superman movie?
Yeah. Well, there has been a lot of discussion here, like using Marvel and stuff like that as an example. I'd say that some of the Marvel movies are actually terrible. I don't think there's some movies that I like. I don't know if I even want to watch them, but I've watched them to like get all the history from it. But what I like about DC is that they've had a slow start, but they make more darker movies. That's like the only thing I liked about the new the Marvel movie with all the heroes. I totally forgot the name now.
Well, I
Avengers.
just wanted to
Avengers.
ask,
But that's the only thing I liked about the movie. I thought the second Avengers movie was, oh Jesus Christ, it was terrible in many ways. And
well, do you think it's important that the tone of the movie should remain more serious? I mean, part of the fun in
for
comic books is that
DC,
it's tongue in cheek.
well, DC. That's what I like about DC. It's a little bit darker than Marvel. I feel like Marvel is doing like the cheesy lines and the overpaid effects and everything, and want to make it seem better than it is. While I know it's hard for me to compare because I don't do stuff like this often or talk about it, or like my opinion is just like a regular consumer, or how I can put it.
you're a
I
normie,
just
basically.
yeah.
Normie,
But
read.
what I like about what I loved about the Batman movies is that they're dark. They have a dark approach, and but I guess many people love that. And Man of Steel was the only Superman movie I didn't fall asleep to. So I think some of it was of course like a little bit overkill. But I like the movie better than the other Superman movies. Don't hate me because.
Oh, we'll hate you.
But some like Superman Returns, I almost jumped out the window because it was so goddamn boring.
Ugh. Why? Why would you bring that up?
So yeah, that was like that. That's what I can say about DC. They had a slow start, and what I've seen so far, like from Suicide Squad, and accepting that Ben Affleck is the new Batman, I think that it they could, yeah. I think that this movie can actually bring some light spots and maybe show that DC is actually going to take up the fight to Marvel and maybe even win against them, or maybe even make better movies than them. Because sometimes I like the dark parts better than
You're just an edgy emo, that's the problem.
what? What?
You're a teen edgelord.
Yeah.
I don't get
Black
it.
and dark.
It's
I
a
like
joke.
black.
Okay.
Basically calling you an emo. That's what they're doing.
No, but the Marvel movies I like. I love the Iron Man movies, but the second one was boring in many ways. I like the third one better. I like the first one. They're good movies, but then all the chaos around the Hulk movies and some of the other movies with sometimes cheesy lines and trying to make it more funny than it is. Yeah, I just feel like DC can do some stuff and maybe show some other sides to superheroes than yeah. I feel Marvel is too mainstream. That's how I can put it. Sorry if I don't have any better words. That's just how I can explain it from my point of view.
Oh my god.
I think he. Well, what I think he's trying to say, he feels Marvel is more generic than DC. Archon, you've kind of been quiet. What are your thoughts?
I'm looking forward to it just to see how Ben Affleck plays the role, because, like, I can more than attest that, you know, just looking at an actor isn't going to tell you how well they're going to play the role, but, like, at the same time, it's like Ben Affleck doesn't strike me as someone that's going to play a good Batman. But, you know, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna get side dick like they did in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
I need to see
More
some
like
Gal Gadot
long
side
dick,
boob,
what are you
that's for
talking
sure.
about?
I need to go, so enjoy
Okay.
your conversation, and I'll speak to you soon.
Fucking
Bye-bye.
nobody.
No bad.
Not bad.
No bad.
Say hello to Miss Piggy.
I'll
No,
fight
no
it.
more.
Hey, don't call your mum that. Ah.
No more, mate.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Okay, Archon, were you done or?
I was done.
Well, okay. Well, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here, because I thought Man of Steel is one of the best superhero movies I've ever watched. I know people either hate or love Man of Steel. I thought the Marvel movies completely lack any consequences. I mean, if you look at I mean, the first Avengers, superb. They managed to get the whole team together and fight a common enemy. But when you look at the second Avengers, it's exactly the same thing, where you fight hundreds of faceless drones and try to destroy them, and basically you don't get any consequences in the end. Where in the Man of Steel, the tone is set right there that Superman is. Hello? Yeah, we can hear you. Where Superman. Kal-El has been Superman for one day, and is barely able to contain the outsiders, and that leads to destruction of Metropolis. And for that movie to actually have consequence, I know a lot of people make the argument that he could have tried to get Zod out of Metropolis, but you have to remember he saves the Earth 3 times in that movie. First, he destroys the world engine, then he helps to destroy the alien ship where all the Kryptonians are, and then he just kills Zod. Spoiler alert. And for also anyone who claims that Superman has never killed before, just look at Superman 2. He kills 3 people just right there. And the whole tone of the movie is that he's barely able to contain them, and he can't save everyone. That's kind of the point of even he's unexperienced. He tries to do as well as he can, and it's a miracle he could even save the entire world as they did. And now in the Batman v Superman, we see the consequences where Batman sees him as an enemy. Even like he says in the trailer, if there's 1% he could go against the people of Earth, we have to take it as an absolute certainty. So, and I believe Lex is gonna manipulate them, or something's gonna happen to pit them towards each other, because we see the do you bleed, you will, and Superman is basically saying, dude, just retire, shut the fuck up. That's what he's saying. For me to say if it's a good movie or not, I haven't seen it, so I really hope it's a good movie. If it has, in my opinion, if it's the same as Man of Steel, I'm really looking forward to it. They've been working on this movie for 3 freaking years, so I don't know. Do you have any counter arguments to this?
Man of Steel sucks. Get over it.
I don't think it sucked. Get over
like
that.
I said, I thought it was. I thought it was better than many other superhero movies, and of course Superman movies. But there was of course parts where it was a little bit overkill with all the destroying and shit like that. But still, I think I'm more positive to new DC movies than Marvel movies, except maybe Guardian of the Galaxy. That can't fail, but like seeing some of the titles coming from DC and this should be pretty cool to see if it's getting like Man of Steel.
Man of Steel is not a perfect movie. I never claimed that. I just think it's one of the best.
You totally claimed that, you liar.
Well, the kissing scene is just so unnecessary. For example, in Man of Steel, it's just there for the ladies. It's just all the advertisements, which is really in your face. IHOP, Sears, Nikon, and all that shit that's advertised during that movie. That's kind of.
You cut out, dude.
Okay, I was hoping that wasn't just me.
Yeah. So that's nice. More in context and how he went out. That as you see in the scene just before he dies, that Clark Kent isn't ready for the burden to carry the weight of the weight of the world on his shoulders. One sec. Norwegian guy seems to want him. I'm just gonna throw him a link. There we go. So I don't know. Do you think it's gonna? Oh, does Granite wanna come in?
I don't know.
Well,
Shitlords.
Anyways, the reason I hope for, I think all of us hope for the best, but I'm gonna watch it on the premiere if I can get tickets. I think the whole thing that Batman vs Superman is, we don't have to forget that it's also called Dawn of Justice. So at the end, probably we're gonna see Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash, kind of coming together and forming the Justice League. Norwegian guy.
Hey, Man of Steel sucks.
Here, here.
I
Har
gotta
har.
no. Uh, I was listening in a little bit. I just wanted to come in here since you were talking about the Batman v Superman movie and just share my thoughts. I hope I didn't interrupt anybody.
You absolutely did, you shitlord. How dare you?
Well,
Okay.
is there anything you want to say about Batman v Superman?
Well, I think the trailer, as we've seen so far, what we know so far about the movie is the fact that, the way that it's been presented has been done really shitty. I mean, the way the first trailer was terrible, and a lot of people were like scratching their heads, okay, what the hell is this? And then the second trailer came out, and people were like pissed off because some people felt the trailer showed too much. Other people were pissed that Doomsday was in this movie, which they felt we were too soon. They didn't feel like, because we
Too
kind of
soon.
know now how. What? I couldn't hear
Oh,
you.
it's gone too soon, man.
Yeah. But it was like we kind of know how the Batman v Superman movie will transpire now, because they basically given away the entire plot in the trailers. It's gonna be Batman thinks Superman is a bastard, and Superman thinks Batman is a bastard. They fight, and then they have to join forces with Wonder Woman to fight Doomsday. There's your whole movie, and
But
and
you could
I
say
But
the same
who's
thing about the
Doomsday?
Avengers.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the Avengers had something that it doesn't look like. Yeah, I'm not expecting much when I saw who wrote the script for this movie, and the problem is that the Avengers had clever dialogue. They had Robert Downey Jr., which he basically steals the show with the Hulk in that movie. None of these characters are really that interesting. That's the problem. These versions of the characters are not interesting. I am not a fan of Man of Steel Superman. I think Ben Affleck as Batman was a fucking terrible choice.
But you haven't
Uh,
seen the movie. How can you judge him before you've seen the movie?
well, I'm just expecting Ben
Because he's a
Affleck.
Norwegian guy, you fuck.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Matt,
really
Matt Damon
dislike.
for Superman.
Oh yeah, they
Sorry.
make it have
Matt
like
Damon.
the entire movie is basically in a Boston accent. Uh, I mean, it's I don't know. I'm gonna hold off I'm gonna see the movie. Of course, I'm gonna see the movie. But one of the big criticism I had with Man of Steel was the way the movie was shot, and movie was presented. You had the flashback sequences. They were trying to go the whole Memento thing, where oh, he's young, oh, he's old now, and that kind of became such a mess in Man of Steel. And I don't know, it was the way they told the story. And then you had the father of Clark Kent in Man of Steel, played by Kevin Costner, who for some reason decides to sacrifice himself. And
Poor
it's
dog.
like, yeah, it's like, oh God, it's like he's trying to tell Superman, don't show your powers, but his powers is going to be revealed pretty soon anyway. So it's like it
Well,
makes
we
no
don't
fucking sense.
know. He's in his early 20s. I'm assuming in that incident, and at the end of the movie, he's 33. So there's at least 10 year. He wasn't ready at that point. That's kind of the point of that scene, as I said
Yeah,
before you came in.
yeah, it doesn't really work. And yeah, the problem is the way they presented it. Yeah, it doesn't really work because it makes basically it just doesn't click. And a lot of people that I've spoken to who are huge fans of Superman, they felt the same way, that this didn't really feel right. And I agree with that. I mean, I'm not such a big Superman fan. I'm more of a Batman fan, but I still think that there's a lot of weird things in that movie that I just kept laughing at, especially the whole thing about the slow motion shot of him in space with the cape and all that. It was like, could you actually? I mean, he's sitting in a church talking to this priest, and I'm like, you're trying to set him up as Jesus, aren't you? I mean, that is like the Jesus imagery, like Superman is somehow Jesus. That was like when I basically said I'm out of here. It was so weird.
That was
Well,
like
if
the
you
appropriate place to put God in the whole Superman mythology. Like,
Well,
and
see,
you mentioned like the
this is
scene.
kind of an allegory for that. So
yeah, it's an allegory. He's not.
Like,
They're
old
not saying he.
where like he's
They're
sitting
not.
with his dad and he's like, "Hey, Dad, maybe I shouldn't have saved everybody on that bus." And like at that point, old Pa Kent's supposed to look at him and like in his Kevin Costner way, just be like, "No, son, if I know anything about why you're here, it's because you're meant to be something more than more than just the average person. You're supposed to, if God put you here for a reason, son.
Yeah,
That's
but here's the
to be a beacon for everybody, to be the best man that you can be."
This is but here's where the movie, and this is basically all. I contribute this problem to the writing of this movie. You're right. Kevin Costner's character does say that that he's the pinnacle of humanity, but just in a few scenes earlier, he's like,
No, he says some bullshit where he's like, "You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?" It's like, Paul Kent doesn't fucking think like that. You ever read a fucking Superman comic in your life? Like, these are God-fearing, like, white bread America, like salt of the earth people, got some pretty basic fucking things going on. Like Spider-Man had more morality woven into the story with with great power comes great responsibility. Like that's a fucking cliche.
But I wanted to
because of fucking Spider-Man and not because of Superman.
Yeah, but I wanted to talk.
Spider-Man's got more morality woven into the story.
Listen, hey.
damn, Gray, chill for a second.
I just wanted to say. Can I just? I couldn't even make my fucking point before he interrupted. I mean, I just wanted to say. The problem with the writing of this movie is that yes, he sounds stupid when he goes on and on about the whole pinnacle of humanity, blah blah blah, savior of humanity. But just in a few scenes before that, he was all like, "You mustn't tell anybody about these powers, Clark. You must keep it a secret." But now he was like, "You will be the savior of humanity." It was like, "Oh come on." Fuck off.
No, but he has a secret identity. He's not open about his. And as you said people hated the first trailer. This is saying something else. I'm screen sharing. 52,000 upvotes, 2,000 downvotes. That's over 90% of upvotes. So saying
the first trailer just had "Do you bleed?" And everybody just thought that was the worst shit possible.
Yeah, a lot of Superman fans also call bullshit on the whole thing when he's trying to zap him in the first trailer when Batman is standing on the building, and then you see the lasers coming at him, and he just jumps away, and it was like bullshit. So there was I don't know. I just really fucking hate Man of Steel. It's such a piss poor, long, dreary movie to watch, and
it's one good moment.
Your hate boner for that movie is so big. How the fuck do you get in a doorway?
There's one genuinely good moment in Man of Steel, and it's during the fight between Superman and Zod. And at one point in the fight, they end up going to a construction site where this big building's under construction. And it's this quick shot where Superman just basically speeds up to Zod and punches him, and then the angle of the shot changes so that it's a reaction. You see Zod flying off, and he bounces off a bunch of girders, and collateral damage is done. But if you look really close in that shot, you see there's this little sign off to the side that says "number of days since last accident." And it's 37 days or something. And then Zod bounces off of the girders, and the numbers fall off. So, but I'm pumped. And that's the only good moment in the whole fucking movie. Sorry.
You guys really have a hate boner for this one, really. For fuck's sake.
But the
it's a good movie. It's a terrible Superman movie.
Yeah, the problem.
I would disagree.
I
They
want to
should
say
have
this.
taken their talents and made a Dragon Ball Z movie. They made a good.
Why are you even saying that?
Yeah, because that's
What's
totally
wrong
worked out
with
before,
Just
Gray.
got the Superman license instead, so they're like, whatever. We'll have Zod come out and he's got power armor and he fights Superman and then he goes to his final form and the battle goes and he floats up in the air and as if it shakes off all the armor, it's like I'm gonna get you, Kal-El, and they fight with more
Well,
And
punches.
then Master Chief
punches
comes
him
out and kicks the shit out of both of them.
He teleports above him and he slams him down to the ground. He just starts building up his chi and he's like, Kamehameha, and oh no, we can't do that.
No, and then the Master Chief comes out.
I don't know. It's such a weird thing. I mean, the problem that DC is gonna have with a lot of these have with this is that when people go in to see a superhero movie now, especially you have Christopher Nolan's Batman movies and you have what DC is trying to do now with the new version of Batman. The problem is that when a lot of people go in to see a superhero movie, and we can actually thank Marvel for this because they kind of have this standard for a superhero movie. They have this formula that they've been running with for quite a while. It's like good. The writing has been pretty solid in a lot of Marvel movies. The humor works most of the time. And the problem is that I didn't find there is no like really funny moments in Man of Steel that is just like funny. It's all they're trying to. It's a movie that takes itself way too seriously, and fails miserably at it.
I totally disagree with that because Marvel is way too cheesy sometimes, and the shit gets old. I'd rather.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
sure.
Well, what about what DC's
wait
doing
a
with
second.
Suicide
You're,
Squad?
talk- you're talking about a universe where it's like a man in his underwear who sticks to buildings, and like there's another guy who's like literally like space lightning god, and like that you can go too silly with that, huh? Like that's a thing now. Like the Marvel universe, like it's supposed to be serious. I didn't know. I really didn't. I thought the whole thing was goofy from the fucking beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't talking. I wasn't talking
You
about.
kind of have
that.
to note that in the tone. Like here, that's the problem
Yeah.
with Man of Steel. Like it's too serious.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
man who flies around in like red and blue underwear and saves people.
And the problem here is that the Batman Begins movie, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight, and to a certain extent Dark Knight Rises.
Well, I kind of
it-
want. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
There's
just
a
those
movie
movies
you're
actually-
leaving out here that I wanted to talk about regarding how DC handles the tone of their movies.
What's
Oh
that?
man, go ahead, man.
It's not quite out yet. It's Suicide Squad. Now, if you're looking for the trailers for Suicide Squad and everything, the tone of the movie is going to be very lighthearted.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because
It's
like
not-
DC needs to learn how to like chill the fuck out. Like everything's not dark and gloomy and like heavy fucking bassy music and apocalypse coming. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
But the
That's
problem
not,
is
that's
I'm-
not what
Apocalypse
superheroes are about.
coming.
That's why I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad because I agree that movie will have a more lighthearted tone. The question I'm wondering is, will the humor work? Will it work? Because at the same time, yes, the movie has a very lighthearted tone, but it also seems to have some very serious dark underpinnings and I'm really wondering how they're gonna because here's what the Marvel movies have actually done pretty well. Especially, I would actually argue the Iron Man movies does this pretty well, and Captain America movies have done this pretty well. And that is the fact that you balance the humor with the serious stuff, and you have this balance there. Of sometimes it can get too cheesy in a few moments, but usually they handle it pretty well. The question I'm wondering is that will Suicide Squad will be able to do the same thing? Because I'm looking forward to that movie.
Have you seen
because
Deadpool yet?
Yeah, I saw Deadpool.
Deadpool is the new high bar for like what you're supposed to do with a superhero movie.
Yeah, pretty much. I would
But
agree that movie
If
changed
Suicide
probably a lot
Squad
of.
can't top that, or at least like find parity with it, then it's going to be a complete fucking failure. Like Deadpool is stupid violent, like ridiculous, like zombie movies violent, like heads exploding violent.
Yeah,
But
I mean, and the movie
It's also
and
like
Deadpool
ridiculous and funny at the same time. Like Colossus is his fucking sidekick. I had no idea that was happening, and then they did that, and that's what made the movie just fucking genius. It's great. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go.
I really like Deadpool, and one of the things about Deadpool that was right, I think after it came out and did so well as it did, I think the people at Fox basically thought, okay, this is what people like. So you know, they were very skeptical of having this movie be an R-rated movie, but it's turned out to be a huge success for Fox, and you know, so if they can do something similar with Suicide Squad, I don't know. Is Suicide Squad an R-rated movie?
I don't know.
No, it's not.
Okay, then we know it's not going to be as good because they can't
How
take
do you
as many
know?
chances.
How the fuck do you know? You haven't
You
seen
can
the
get away with
movie.
a lot in a PG.
You don't know shit!
All I have to say, PG-13 will probably destroy that movie because now after
It
Deadpool,
didn't Dark
people
Knight. It didn't Dark Knight. It's the greatest comic book movie ever. Like
Yeah,
that's
but
just
Dark- yeah, but
ignorant, man. Jesus.
Well,
Dark-
okay,
Are we
not
talking about the Bane movie? Because
No, Dark Knight.
I know,
You
not Dark
missed
Knight.
Dark Knight Rises.
You must. Yeah, I gotta say that. I gotta say the Bane character. Oh my God, he was like this big muscle bound. But what made the Dark Knight work was not the fact that he was trying to be like overly violent and overly offensive. What made the Dark Knight work was the clever writing and the fact that they had this interesting story. Not to mention the performances from the actors. I
Yeah,
gotta say,
Dark Knight found a really perfect tone for the material that they had. Like
Exactly.
even from the beginning, we're like, you know, Bruce Wayne's kind of like a lame ass in the beginning. He's like hobbling around with his little cane, and like Selena Kyle breaks in, and they have like this ill little kung fu fight.
That's
like
racist. That's racist.
That's racist!
That's Dark. That's
Oh,
Dark
I
Knight.
thought
Dare
you were
you.
talking about Bane. Yeah, that's
no,
that movie.
no, I was talking about. No, I was just talking about. I was talking about.
the second one, Dark
Yeah.
Knight.
Bane's
Dark
not
Knight.
in the second one.
I know.
No, but I was trying to make a point about
That's why I
why
was
that.
asking which one he was
I
talking
think
about.
the third one's better than the second one, honestly. It finds a better balance between like the dark shit and like the having a little bit of fun with the material too.
I don't think
I think
people remember too much about the third other than the Bane. That was really it. Bane posting his life now.
Bane posting.
But it's going to be interesting to see. But I think one character that will get a lot of attention, and that is because somebody said that his character will have a very tragic story in Suicide Squad, is Will Smith's character, Deadshot. So I think that because Harley, played by Margot Robbie, she's going to be this crazy, lovable character that everybody likes. But is she able? With this movie not being R-rated, is she able to go as far as she probably would have in an R-rated movie? Because I'm thinking, okay, if Suicide Squad would have been R-rated, and this is a movie about the villains. These are people who are evil, twisted people, and I would actually say that it makes a hell of a lot more sense to have Suicide Squad R-rated, because it's about the villains. It's not about the heroes. And having Harley Quinn, I ruined the window and I stole a purse. I am so edgy. Oh, come on.
Fucking
Dude.
teenage edgelords.
You really gotta pull back on your hate, fucking boners. You've still not seen Batman v Superman. You've not seen Suicide Squad, and you're hating on Suicide Squad because of a trailer, and you're hating because it's PG. Yet you haven't seen shit from the movie. I'm just gonna call that shit out right now.
Norwegian. I don't think you heard it earlier, but I was discussing about how Batman vs Superman is going to have a director's cut that's going to be rated R. There's a good possibility that with the way Deadpool went, they could up the ante on Suicide Squad.
That could be. I mean, if that's the case, that they're having an R-rated version, I would be fine with it. That would be okay if they could actually go that far. But
Isn't that little bit
so you're just changing your opinion? Oh,
No.
R-rated and PG-13.
No, I still think the movie's gonna suck, regardless.
Okay.
But
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think it's
But I can,
important to note that like
but I
Deadpool's not a great movie because it's R-rated. I'm saying it's a great movie that
Yeah,
finds an appropriate tone for
yeah,
the material.
I know what you mean, Grey Knight. But
Yeah,
Norwegian guy
despite
is
being
saying,
R-rated.
yeah, but Norwegian guy is playing that better movies mean R-rated, which is not the
no,
case because
no,
Dark.
no. I was not saying that. I was saying that
You
some
want
movies
playing
can.
it?
Yes, Christ. I basically spent a couple of minutes explaining why I think Batman v Superman is gonna suck, and that has to do with the writing. It has to do with the tone. The
Yeah, I
R
heard you say that.
and yes, and that is what. And I actually that's why I think the movie will have a problem with me because I have a problem with the movie because of that. And I think I will dislike it because I like the Nolan Batman movies, and this movie is nothing like the Nolan Batman movies at
Yeah,
all.
no,
Uh,
yeah, I totally agree. It's not gonna come close. No Superman and a superhero movie is gonna come close to that trilogy. Not for a long time, and
yeah, because I
it's
went
a
into the
reason for it.
I remember going into the theater, right? I mean, this was like there hasn't. I remember going into the theater to watch Batman Begins, the first in the trilogy, and the last Superman movie, Batman movie that I saw in theaters was Batman and Robin. So you kind of expect that I was not exactly had a lot of confidence walking into the theater, but then Batman Begins blew everybody away, and it was like it was a great movie. It was the origin story again, but it was a very well made origin story that had a serious tone. They didn't go overboard with the comic with like supernatural elements in it. They didn't go overboard with that at all, and it actually worked because they tried to keep it a little more grounded in reality. And that movie took itself very seriously, but it worked, and the tone was consistent in that movie, and that made that movie work really well. And the same thing with The Dark Knight, because the Joker was, even though I remember first saw the design of Heath Ledger's Joker, I was not too impressed, but I was thankfully 100% wrong. And I could be wrong on Batman v Superman. I'm not saying that I couldn't, but I just see what what DC did with Man of Steel, and this is set in the same universe, and I fucking hated Man of Steel, so that's why I think I'm gonna hate Batman v Superman. So that's probably
Yeah, it depends. I don't think it's gonna be like Man of Steel. I think it's gonna be different because didn't the guy that made 300. Damn, I forget these names.
Zack
What's
Snyder.
his name? Yeah, didn't he participate in the last Batman movie? Wasn't he amongst the guys directing it or something? Or am I
No,
completely?
Nolan was directing the last Batman movie. He directed all three.
Yeah, but I thought that maybe Zack Snyder was.
No, Nolan was executive producer on Man of Steel.
Ah, that was it. Sorry, the other way around. Okay, my bad. That's
Yeah.
my bad. Okay, yeah, but okay, no, okay,
So
my
you're
point.
fucking
My
full of
point is invalid. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think this is like what really makes me a little concerned also for Batman v Superman is the fact that this seems to be DC trying desperately to catch up to Marvel, and they're trying to catch up to Marvel really fast because Marvel has had a huge head start with all of the movies that they made. And this is Batman v Superman and Man of Steel are basically set in the same universe. So is Suicide Squad. That's also in the same universe. So they're trying to create a DC cinematic universe. But I don't know if this will succeed. I'm just very negative to these movies because after seeing
Go ahead.
no, after seeing Man of Steel, I was like, "Yep, this was a waste of time." Well, after I walked out of that cinema, like, "Yep, this was a waste of time."
I have to disagree with DC playing catch up. They're doing their own thing. If they were mimicking or trying to do the same thing as Marvel, they would be using the exact same model, doing the exact same tones in the movie, which they're not. They did Man of Steel first. they're doing Batman vs Superman, which is kind of leading up to Justice League, which is going to film now in April. They're gonna do Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad between those movies. So they're not really catching up. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm just
I'd agree on. I actually agree with about that because they have a totally different tone than Marvel has in their movies. So they're not, they're not doing like they're not copying each other. They're actually making their own thing, and that's why I'm so more positive to DC than Marvel because. I feel like it's just some of the movies have just been almost the same over. That's at least my feeling about it.
yeah. I
That
mean,
they're trying to have punchlines, and I don't always like them. I like them in Iron Man. I like them in Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers maybe the first time I watch it, but the second time I watch it, I feel it gets too much. I don't know.
yeah, I agree. I agree. But here, I actually agree with that. But here's the thing. You could take a look at Ant-Man, the last movie from Marvel, like Ant-Man,
I
and
didn't see it.
you could basically call that movie Tiny Iron Man because it's basically like it's Iron Man except he's tiny. And and you could make a lot of those comparisons, and I would agree that Marvel is really have been scraping at the bottom of the barrel to find superheroes to make stories about. They have been doing that for quite some time. I think everybody's getting their own movie soon, so it's like they're,
Yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they have been making a lot of stuff. But at the same time, DC has also a very colorful cast of characters, and I agree, DC Comics has a very different tone than Marvel, and it's always have been a little darker tone than Marvel, and
Yeah.
that can work. But the problem is when they are trying to make, especially if you watch like anybody who grew up in the 90s and watched Batman the animated series, from the 90s, that is like the best animated show ever. That is probably my favorite animated show of all time. And it worked. It really worked back then. It probably would have worked right now if it hadn't been for politically correct hysterical people who don't want their kids to see it. Anyways, it's what's interesting about it is that Batman the animated series is a very dark, gritty series, but it has a lot of elements for kids. But the what really makes that show work is that it also has a lot of adult themes, like like Bruce Wayne struggling psychologically after his parents' death. This is some really powerful stuff to have in a children's comic, but it was balanced in a very proper way. That balance right there is what DC needs to find with their movies. And if they miss that, miss that balance, they are screwed.
May I interject an observation I just had?
Go ahead.
Why would you define an Norwegian Gamer as a children's comic?
A children's comic?
Yes. What exactly is the criteria for making it a children's comic? I mean, perception is key to a lot of things. The way I perceive comic books, they're modern mythology.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that actually, but I didn't say children's comic. I was talking about the Batman animated show that has when it comes to making the balance, because I believe that kids could read DC Comics. I'm not saying that it's not a children's comic, or it's not an adult comic. I'm saying that that it's something that most people can read. I mean, but certain comic books are not for children because it features way too many adult themes for, it's like what is appropriate for a 10-year-old boy to read, and that kind of thing.
Here's something that you guys might be too young to remember. The original time slot for Batman the Animated Series was Sunday nights, like after The Simpsons. They were trying to do this
they were trying to
television cartoon block thing where they were making cartoons that you could watch with your kids, but it was really more for the older audience. You'd watch that with your older kids. Little kids don't understand what the fuck is happening with The Simpsons.
Sorry for interrupting, but I think it was different in our country. Since we're all from Norway, it was actually I don't know how old he is, but I'm 26 this year. They
I'm
actually
29.
yeah they showed that series in the morning or noontime, if I
Yeah,
remember
I
correctly.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
Yeah,
it
but
really
I,
like
depends on the countries. But he's talking about when it was actually about the time it was made. But we've been watching it the later years probably.
yeah,
and I
and,
spoke.
and later on they were, they did move it more towards like Saturday mornings or like,
Yeah,
weekend
yeah.
afternoons when kids are coming home from school or whatever. But contrast like the original run of like the Batman animated series with like the first year run of like the Superman cartoon. Like Superman came out, that was like Saturday morning right away. Like it had a very different tone. It was like much more geared towards kids, a lot less cerebral, a lot less dark. You didn't have like you didn't have certain themes that were being explored. It was much more like four color comic book sort of style. Like there's even one really like probably my favorite episode of the first season of that was the one where Lobo comes to Earth, and like they have this fantastic fight where it's just like whenever Superman's winning, like there's like the brass band is playing, like it's Superman's theme, and then like when Lobo's winning, it's like all heavy metal guitars, right? And like they just really with the music they're underlining the idea that like yes, this is the classic golden silver age of comic books heroes versus Lobo, who's kind of like the anti-hero of the 90s, and like they're just it's themes that are battling each other in that episode. I thought that was so great and really clever, and like yeah, that's I think that's all kind of part of what we're circling around. Like where exactly do you place your characters? Like what is the tone of the world that they inhabit? And that's what makes a story palatable to an audience. That's what gives your story legs and a place, a purchase in people's imaginations.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how. Anyways, like I said, the tone they set in DC Universe movies is going to matter a lot. The writing, especially. I think we will see some great performances though, because I think Margot Robbie makes a perfect Harley. I think she in Suicide Squad she makes a perfect Harley. Some of the other actors are also very good and talented actors. One character that I'm a little concerned about is Killer Croc, which looks absolutely ridiculous in that movie, but that's my opinion. And but it could work. But yeah, I am really on the hate wagon when it comes to Batman v Superman. But I'm gonna go see it. I am when it comes out, and I can't wait to bitch to Andrea all about it because it will suck.
I just wonder how they're going to write into the story that this Superman that they've already presented in like this Nolan-esque world where he's faced Zod and he's had that decision that he had to make where it's like, well, if I don't kill this guy, he's going to kill a whole bunch of other people, so I guess I kill the guy. So he's already taken that step that like Superman really you should have the Superman character struggle with that, right? Like the whole point of Superman is that he's basically like Saitama, the One Punch Man, like for in the classic comic book form. Like if he doesn't hold back against literally everybody he fights, he will kill them with one punch. It's not even fucking fair. Like that's Superman. So you have this character where you have to establish that like he goes easy on everybody because he has to, but he's already crossed that line in his premiere movie. So like when he fights Batman, why doesn't he just like move faster than Batman can like see and or react and like break all of his limbs, like both his legs and his arms, and he's just like, you're not a hero anymore. Goodbye. That's the end of the fucking movie in like a minute.
I just wanted to say that there's one scene in Man of Steel that I actually just outright laughed in the cinema, and everybody was looking at me weirdly for laughing, but I thought it was such a hilarious thing because I just remembered a comment from a friend of mine who saw the movie before I did. He's from the States, and he basically said it's the scene in Man of Steel where Clark Kent is rescuing the workers on the oil rig, and then he opens the door, and then I remembered my friend's comment. I am Leonidas von Bronyman. Follow my non-flammable pants to freedom. It was like, it's such a hilarious thing because if you notice in that scene,
they didn't want to show his super dong.
Yeah, his pants are not on fire. He's like opening the door all muscly, kind of looks like Leonidas with a beard. That's like I started laughing like crazy in the cinema because I just expected him to kick one of those oil workers off the rig and go, "This is Sparta!" Like,
Hello, you had something to say?
No, yeah, it's been like 5 minutes or something, but the Norwegian guy said something about earlier about the tone in the movies, which I've been like talking down on Marvel because they're doing like the same recipe over and over, and he said some of the movies have been repeating, and but also that if DC like redo their recipe over and over again of how to make a decent movie, it's gonna probably happen too. That maybe they're having too many dark movies, and it's gonna be like Marvel has too repetitive. That was just an input I wanted to say that it could happen to DC as well. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just more positive to DC at the moment because we haven't seen too much from them compared to Marvel, which I feel is, yeah, it's like watching Disney movies all over again.
yeah, but
It's the same recipe all over.
But here's the thing about Marvel. I'm actually not such a big Marvel fan, although I like I fucking cannot stand Agents of Shield. That show is boring as fuck, and yeah, I think the I think the main thing that Marvel movies does, and the reason why their formula is successful, is because the movies know what they are. They don't take itself way too seriously. They can go in a very serious direction. I'm interested in seeing how the tone will be for the next Captain America Civil War movie, which is out soon. That the tone in that movie will be interesting to see because you know, they say that you're gonna have Iron Man fighting with Captain America. It's gonna be a way more serious tone than in the other movies, and even the trailer has kind of hinted that this is getting a little dark. So I'm really curious to see how they will balance that, and because they might fuck up as well with that movie. But I think that the reason why a lot of the Marvel movies have worked out so well, even though they're repeating a formula, is because the movies they know exactly what they are. They know that that they can be silly with it, but so they know exactly what they are. Every movie does in the Marvel universe. There's no like trying to trick the audience into believing this is more serious than it really is, and that's the problem I had with Man of Steel. Because when I went in to see Man of Steel, what I wanted to see was a comic book movie, and instead I got this super serious drama thing. It was like, yeah, I was fucking bored after the first way, and it's boring. Fuck, I hate Man of Steel. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
But I think I thought you said that in the Dark Knight trilogy it wasn't that much as a trilogy. That's why I liked it.
What?
Well, wasn't it you who said that?
That it was what?
And that it wasn't like a comic book movie. That's why it was good.
Well, I said it was. I said it's still a comic book movie, but what made it work was the fact that they actually that movie also knew what tone it was setting, and it knew it stayed consistent in the movie like that. It was like, okay, Bruce, it's not in a universe where any supernatural thing happens. It's basically one guy whose parents gets killed. He decides to use modern technology to create the shit that he has. It's like, and there's no like comic book esque, tropes in there except for the villain and that kind of thing. But they still try to keep it in reality a little bit. And even though they are so I think that worked for the Dark Knight, and
But
it worked for Batman.
what was so inconsistent with Man of Steel?
Well, what I liked with Man of Steel was the way it actually. At first, it starts off as this. They try to go the Memento approach, where they're trying to show the movie is not shot chronologically, where you basically get to see scenes from his childhood. Then he's an adult. Then he's a child. Then he's an adult again. That thing works in certain kinds of movies. This was not the movie they should have done that in. I feel it would have been way more interesting if they hadn't gone that approach, honestly,
But
because
why?
I didn't.
Kind of fail to say why it's inconsistent, the tone of the movie. You say that you don't like how Superman behaves in the movie, and like the Memento stuff, but I still don't see why it's the tone is inconsistent.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what to tell him because the movie starts off being very grounded in reality, and what I mean by that is the fact that a lot of people, the most of the people around Superman, they act like real human beings, and then they become more cheesy as the movie goes along. You have the news editor, to Lois Lane. He's all serious about wanting deadlines and so on and so forth, but then it's like this could be a major point in humanity, and he starts becoming like he starts talking in such a weird way, and that's where the consistency breaks for me because these characters are, especially Lois Lane's character. She was like this very strong, independent kind of tough girl that didn't take shit from nobody, and all of a sudden she becomes a damsel
Norwegian
in
guy's
distress.
becoming a feminist.
Yeah, pretty much. Whatever. But it breaks the tone. That's what bothers me about it. It breaks the tone, and it turns the movies like, oh, the characters acted one way in the beginning of the movie, but all of a sudden they have this.
I'd have to disagree with the Lois part because she's the reason that they defeat the Kryptonians.
Yeah, she is saved by Russell Crowe's hologram. Uh, which is a
But
pretty cool. That is actually a pretty cool sequence when she escapes from the ship. That is actually pretty cool. But it's Russell Crowe's hologram that gets her out of it.
yeah, but she still saves humanity when she puts the Phantom Drive and tells everyone how to destroy the ship with the Kryptonians on it. So
Yeah.
saying she's not strong
I was,
in the movie.
I think I was almost asleep at that point. But yeah, I'm sure that happened. I only watched it once. I have no desire to ever watch it again.
Okay. Well, I still think that Man of Steel set up, as I said, the consequences and the villains in Marvel. They either get killed or they have no consequence to the story at all, except for Loki and Thanos, who hasn't really had any impact so far.
No,
Uh,
he's the guy sitting in the background, not doing shit, and everybody, and there's become this running joke about Thanos. You're like, so when the hell is he gonna start enacting his master plan? We've been hearing about this for years. So yeah, I think that he will show up. But I will say one good thing about Man of Steel. One good thing about Man of Steel. The soundtrack is fucking amazing. That is probably the only positive thing I have to say. I own the Man of Steel soundtrack. I love the music. It's fucking awesome.
Batman, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have anything to say?
You're all a bunch of nerds and should find a new hobby. Seriously, 75
Yeah,
years
you're
of
one to
stalking
talk.
me with Batman comics and movies is getting kind of creepy. I'm just trying to fight crime.
Right, you're one to talk. You want to get Batman to nerd out? Start talking about computer hardware.
Yes, please. Do a stream on that.
Well, to be fair, I think I dislike Man of Steel so much that I would rather have Morgan Freeman talk me through masturbation than to watch that movie again.
It's the best thing I heard all night.
Well, I expect I kind of made a video on this, but I expect two things to happen in Batman versus Superman, where either there are two Superman, where one is a clone basically of Zod and doing all this shit to make the Superman and Batman fight, or and becomes Doomsday, kind of like the Wraith in the comics, or is Lex Luthor is kind of forcing Superman by kidnapping Lois or something like that to make them fight. I don't know what you guys think of that theory.
Hasn't the trailer basically
What,
confirmed that by
what
now?
about what about the possibility of Bizarro though?
I think that's an issue becoming more relevant with movies these days. You get the trailers, they want to get the interest. They want to, the studios want to fill the seats. But then they literally go from being just a trailer to tease you about the movie to being a brief synopsis of the entire movie. So now you don't need to go see it. Just watch the trailer like a time or two and you'll get the idea.
Well, I think, yeah, this has been happening a lot lately, and I think the biggest offender I can think of, especially last year, and everybody complained to the studio about it as well, was Terminator Genesis. Yes, it turned out to be a horrible movie, but the trailer was fucking weird because they basically revealed John Connor as as a robot in the trailer, and that was supposed to be a big twist in the movie, but everybody knew about it because it was all over the marketing.
I didn't think Genesis was terrible. I thought it was
No,
pretty
a lot of
decent.
people did. A lot of people did.
yeah.
A lot of people did. But
Well,
what I think you,
I
what I
haven't
think
seen
you
it
have
yet.
to, what I think you have to do with Genesis is basically just forget every other Terminator movie and just don't care about the plot. Just go in there, see Arnold, and have fun. Turn off your brain. That's essentially what Genesis is.
Yeah.
It's all right. I didn't hate it. It was all right. It knew it
Yeah,
knew what
like
kind of movie.
I thought it wasn't as good as Terminator 1 or 2, but it was definitely better than the other ones.
Yeah, I would agree. Nothing will ever come close to Terminator 2 for a lot of people. That movie is a classic and for a lot of reasons, and nobody will ever top it. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when the movie comes out. I am curious to see both Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman. But if they start going on this shit they did in Man of Steel again, I hope it doesn't. I hope it actually is fun to watch, and not gonna drag shit out as much. So
Well, the movie is 2 hours and 31 minutes.
yeah, that's fine. That's actually fine.
Yeah, as I don't know how long the rated R version is gonna be, but it's gonna be released as a director's cut somewhere later this year. So
So the
that's
theatrical version 2 hours and 30 minutes, while the R-rated version is like 4 hours.
well, that's kind of what happened to Watchmen when Zack Snyder
Oh,
directed that.
oh man, that have you seen that version, the long uncut version?
Yeah, I've seen it. I liked it.
I like it too, but it is wait. I understand why they cut out some of it. I really do.
Well, the whole comic, scenes where where we see the comic the kid is reading. Yeah, I can kind of see why they cut that out.
Because I like the Watchmen a lot. I think that was I know that movie got a lot of hate from different kinds of people, but I still liked it. I think it was a very good performances. Rorschach and the actor who plays him, they fucking steal that show, steals the show. So there's a lot of great moments in that movie. Yeah. I don't think I have that much more to say about Batman v Superman. I just guess we'll have to wait until it comes out.
Varric, do you have anything more to say?
I think I'm good right now. For the current topic, anyway.
Batman?
I guess we'll just see how it goes for Batman versus Superman.
Do you expect it to be good, bad? No,
I'm still having my negatives about it, but I'll give it a I'll keep an open mind on it for sure.
Hi, love.
Yeah, I don't know. Suicide Squad, at least, I'd agree with the Norwegian guy. I look more forward to Suicide Squad than Batman versus Superman, but I think it's gonna be okay.
And Archon.
I think I'll reserve judgment until after I've seen the movie, but I'm not too optimistic about it in general. But yeah, that's me.
It's my most anticipated movie. I've been waiting 3 years for the sequel, so I'm really looking forward to it. So, any last words? We're gonna continue off air. So, anything more you wanna mention?
Man of Steel sucks.
Man of Steel sucks.
As you reiterated time and time again.
Yeah, the hate boner is strong with you.
It really is.
It's hard.
Well, okay. Well,
I'm gonna kick Superman's ass.
my brother and I at least like it. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna stop the stream and continue off here. Thanks everyone for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.